When the Dallas Cowboys made the move to land Brian Burns, it wasn't just another transaction scrolling across the ticker. It was the kind of move that makes the entire league stop, reread the headline, and immediately start recalculating power rankings, playoff projections, and matchup nightmares, because this is the type of addition that doesn't just improve a defense on paper. It fundamentally changes how offenses must prepare, how coordinators sleep at night, and how games are played for the next 4 quarters. And for Cowboys fans who have been begging this franchise to push its chips to the center of the table, this moment feels like the organization finally saying out loud what we've all known for years, that this roster is not built to compete politely, it's built to dominate. And Brian Burns arriving in Dallas represents a clear and unmistakable signal that the Cowboys are done waiting, done developing slowly, and done hoping things break their way, because this move is about forcing the issue, about creating pressure in the most literal football sense and in the psychological sense as well. Because Burns is not just a pass rusher, he is an accelerator, someone who speeds up everything around him, speeds up quarterbacks' clocks, speeds up offensive mistakes, speeds up 3-and-outs. And when you pair that kind of weapon with Micah Parsons, you're no longer talking about a good defense or even a great defense. You're talking about a unit that can take over games without the offense even needing to be perfect. And that's the kind of formula championship teams are built on year after year. Brian Burns has spent his career being the focal point of opposing protection schemes, the guy who gets chipped by tight ends, slowed by running backs, doubled by tackles and guards sliding over. And even with all of that attention, he still consistently finds ways to win, using elite speed off the edge, Ben, that feels almost unfair, and a relentless motor that doesn't die in the fourth quarter. And now, for the first time in his career, he's walking into a situation where he won't be the only nightmare on the line of scrimmage, because Micah Parsons already demands constant attention, already forces offenses to pick their poison. And that's where this move becomes terrifying for the rest of the NFL, because no protection scheme is built to survive when two elite rushers are attacking from opposite sides with this level of explosiveness, and no quarterback is comfortable when he knows that even a clean pocket can collapse in under 2 seconds if he hesitates for even a moment. What makes this even more fascinating is how perfectly Burns fits what the Cowboys want to be defensively, because Dallas doesn't just want sacks. They want disruption, they want chaos, they want quarterbacks throwing off their back foot, receivers breaking routes early, running backs missing holes because they're worried about free rushers screaming off the edge. And Burns creates all of that, even on plays where he doesn't touch the quarterback, because his presence alone bends the structure of an offense, forces coordinators to keep extra blockers in, limits route concepts, and shrinks the playbook. And when you shrink the playbook against a defense that already thrives on speed and aggression, you're playing directly into Dallas's hands. This move also represents a massive philosophical shift, because for years the Cowboys leaned heavily on internal development and draft success, trusting that young players would grow into stars. And while that approach has produced talent, it hasn't always produced postseason dominance. And Brian Burns is a proven commodity, a player who has already shown he can perform at a high level week after week, season after season, against the best tackles in football. And that reliability matters when the margin for error in January is razor thin. The ripple effect of Burns joining this defense cannot be overstated, because suddenly DeMarcus Lawrence isn't carrying as much burden snap after snap. Suddenly interior rushers are seeing more favorable matchups. Suddenly linebackers are staying cleaner, because offensive lines are too busy worrying about edge pressure to climb to the second level. And suddenly the secondary can play more aggressively, knowing the quarterback won't have time to let deep routes develop. And this is how great defenses are built. Not by relying on one superstar to do everything, but by stacking complementary pieces until the entire unit becomes greater than the sum of its parts. The Micah Parsons element of this move deserves special attention, because As dominant as Micah already is, he has often been forced into a role where he must be the solution to every problem, rushing, covering, spying, blitzing, doing whatever is needed to spark the defense. And while he has excelled at that, it has also meant offenses could sell out to stop him, knowing that if they slowed Micah, the entire defense slowed with him. But now that calculation changes completely because with Burns on the opposite edge, Micah doesn't have to fight through double teams on every snap. He doesn't have to win instantly every time to create pressure, and he doesn't have to be moved around as much to manufacture mismatches because the mismatches are built into the lineup itself. And that freedom could unlock the most dangerous version of Micah Parsons we've ever seen. A version that plays faster, fresher, and more violently as games wear on. From a strategic standpoint, this move also supercharges what the Cowboys want to do schematically, because generating pressure with 4 rushers is the holy grails of defensive football, and Burns makes that not just possible but probable, allowing Dallas to drop more defenders into coverage, disguise looks, bait quarterbacks into mistakes, and take advantage of rush decisions. And when you combine elite edge pressure with disciplined coverage, turnovers follow, and turnovers change games, flip momentum, and silence opposing crowds. The impact on the NFC East alone is massive because divisional opponents now have to prepare for this duo twice a year. And that preparation isn't just about individual matchups, it's about altering entire offensive identities because teams that want to rely on slow developing plays, deep shots, or extended quarterback movement are going to struggle when Burns and Parsons are collapsing the pocket from both sides. And even mobile quarterbacks will find escape lanes closing faster than they're used to, turning improvisation into desperation. This also changes how the Cowboys can manage games because when you trust your defense to get stops, you don't have to chase points, you don't have to force throws, and you don't have to abandon the run early. And that balance helps the entire roster, especially in high stakes moments where discipline and patience matter most. And it's no coincidence that the teams consistently playing deep into January are the ones that can win ugly when needed, leaning on defense to close games out. There's also an emotional and cultural element to this move that shouldn't be ignored because bringing in a player of Burns' caliber sends a message to the locker room that the front office believes in this group, believes in this window, and is willing to invest in winning now. And that kind of belief fuels confidence, accountability, and urgency, pushing everyone to elevate their preparation and performance. Because when elite talent arrives, standards rise automatically. For the fans, this move reignites something that has felt just out of reach. That sense that the Cowboys aren't just talented, but dangerous, not just competitive, but feared. And fear matters in the NFL because when opponents feel it, they press, they make mistakes, and they start playing the Cowboys instead of playing their own game. And that psychological edge is something Dallas has been chasing for years. Of course, expectations rise with a move like this, and that's part of the deal. Because when you bring in a difference maker like Brian Burns, the conversation shifts from potential to results, from hope to demands. And that's exactly where this franchise needs to be, because greatness doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when pressure meets preparation, and the Cowboys have now applied pressure to themselves in the best possible way by assembling a defense capable of carrying them through the toughest moments of the season. As the year unfolds, every snap will tell the story of how transformative this move truly is. Every third down will feel heavier for opposing offenses. Every late game drive will feel more desperate. And every big play by Burns or Parsons will reinforce the reality that Dallas has built something special on the defensive side of the ball, something fast, violent, and relentless, something that doesn't just react to offenses, but dictates terms. And if everything comes together the way it looks like it can, this won't be remembered as just another offseason headline. It will be remembered as the moment the Cowboys defense took control of its destiny and announced to the league that the path to winning anything meaningful yet now runs straight through Dallas, and that is what a true defensive takeover looks like.